here any second.
Hi!
So, Rebecca, I was just thinking about you.
Oh my goodness, do I have... I'm going to drive you crazy today because you know how you left the last session? And I was just like, we talked about the PTSD and I listened to it and I sat with it and you told me to sit with it and I sat with it. You know, thank God for the encyclopedia and everything. I found so much stuff on this that I need you to really help me see through because I took so many notes. Am I crazy? Am I crazy?
Okay, first.
Because there's just so much. Some people say you need all these medicines, electric shock therapy. Like, I'm not even a fucking vet.
Okay,
you know what
first,
I mean?
let's start.
Okay.
Let's start just by first. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Good to see you.
How
Thanks
are
for
you?
coming. I'm good.
I'm a mess.
Well, it's clear that you've got something bothering you, so let's spend some time today. Here's what I caught from you.
Okay.
Do we need to take a couple of breaths first?
Sure. Let's do the breaths. Let's do the breathing.
All right. Remember.
All right, I'm gonna put all this.
Hand on the belly. One hand on here, right? And your goal is to make that belly go up like you're blowing up a balloon.
Okay.
Right? Into the nose, out through the mouth.
Okay.
And then remember, you're to exhale slower than you inhale. So.
I'm so nervous, you know.
All right.
I'm so happy.
Well, then let's do 5.
Okay.
Ready?
Okay.
Into the nose. Out through the mouth. Slowing that breathing down as it's coming out of the mouth. One more into the nose. Big breath, really feeling that belly full of air. And then out. Breath 3 into the nose. Really filling that belly up until it feels like it did when you had a baby in there. Out through the mouth. Smelling deep. And out completely. Let's make this one the biggest one of all. In. And out as completely as you can. Open your eyes. How you doing now?
I don't even want to look at this.
A little more centered? All right. So let's back it up a little bit. You came in here. I heard, John, oh my gosh, diagnosis, PTSD. You pulled folders out. Let's walk through a little bit. What,
Okay.
tell me, fill me in. Help
So,
me get caught up. I'm a little bit.
All right.
I need
So
some
you know the last time I
clarification.
met with you was like a week ago, right? Actually, a week ago today.
Yeah.
And I really put thought in what you were saying because I mean, I'm like, okay, you know.
Well, thought about what?
About the diagnosis, right?
Well, right, because we talked about your diagnosis
The
last
PTSD.
week. We explained that your diagnosis was PTSD.
It's not that I don't trust you, because I know we've been meeting each other, and you know, it's just everything that I'm reading. You know, I read so much, and you know, sometimes the internet gives you too much, and then everything is like war. Like I've never been in a fucking war, you know, and then I'm like, maybe does he know his stuff? And then I felt bad for thinking like that about you because you pretty much know me well. And then I'm just looking through everything and I saw some of the things. I'm like, oh, okay. But then some of it just seemed like, I'm a pretty smart girl. But some of it just seemed too hard for me to understand. And then some of it I'm like, again, war.
Well, PTSD can happen and often does happen to military vets because of everything that they've gone through. I imagine the sights and sounds of war can be pretty psychologically heavy on some people. But you're not a veteran, but it can still happen to you. So, number one, I appreciate you taking your homework so seriously. It shows me your commitment to this, and it shows me your desire to understand.
But am I crazy? Because I don't want to cut you off, but John.
Are you crazy?
Oh my God, when I was reading these things, the medicine these people are on, I mean, some people had other things that led them to get like electric shock therapy. I'm like, what the hell? I felt like I was What About Bob? And I'm like, no. Is this going to be me? Like,
so I'm glad that you said, is this going to be me? Because it's important for you to remember that everything you read on the internet, and I mean everything, first of all, you know as well as I do, from all of your college and all of your schooling, that they put everything on the internet.
True.
You can find videos of elephants wearing rain boots, petting kitties with their trunks.
True.
So why wouldn't you be able to find everything you could possibly think of about PTSD, right? Make sense?
True.
So it's important for us to understand, and more importantly for you to understand what PTSD.
Is it true?
Well,
you need to have to make sense of that.
For some people, that might be true about them, but I think the bigger question that you're asking me is that true for you? So I think what's important for us to do today, and what I really want to do today, is kind of work through some of this and try to help you understand.
Are we going to go through all those?
All of this?
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm going to make this much easier for you. See, what I like
Tell
to do.
Me what you have.
Well, first of all, before I was a therapist, I was a school teacher.
Okay.
I mean, everybody's got a different career, but I was a school teacher for a long time, and I did some things with kids to try to help them understand what they were learning, right? Because learning is less about somebody telling you something and you really being able to get something from that, right?
I agree.
Right? You've got a lot of schooling. You've got your master's degree in psychology, for you to get your social work done. So it's important for us to kind of find a way to have that learning apply to you. Do you follow me?
Yeah.
Okay. So can I show you a few things that I think might help that? Because what I really want to do is use an exercise that I used when I was teaching to help you do some learning. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, and we don't have to go through all of this.
Oh, no.
So it's like a cheat sheet?
Well, in a way, yes.
So
by the time we're done here, I'm hoping that you'll be able to have a better idea about what PTSD is, and more importantly, what PTSD looks like for you. Because everybody's different. If I had PTSD, it would look differently than it does for you.
Will it go away?
Well, go away is kind of it's an absolute, isn't it? Are you asking me, are things going to improve? Then well, you are normal. Everybody's normal, but
and
everybody
I really
deals.
Think about it. I mean, I walked into a fucking convenience store, you know, and it was just like a regular day, and then I go back by the chips, and then these guys came in, and then I got so scared because they was cursing and saying, "What the fuck, shit? What the fuck?" And then they shot. I couldn't believe they shot Maria. Like, oh my god! And so I'm hiding, you know, by the Funyuns, and now it's like that. I understand like what a crazy experience, but it's like I can't even go in the fucking store. My niece opened up a bag of Funyuns when we were at the barbecue. Remember we went to the barbecue? And I forgot that I was even in Meredith. I really thought that I was like around the corner in the bodega, and it's like I saw Maria get shot, and I could smell the chips. It was so crazy, and then it got me, and then I couldn't breathe, and I was like. I almost wanted to jump in my car and drive, and then I just noticed, like, what the hell? Like, where the hell am I? And then I felt so bad because I scared everyone. Because it's like, I screamed at her, you know, because of that, but it's like, how it was a bag of chips. Like, John, a bag of chips. I couldn't even smell it.
So,
I don't know what to, like, I don't know.
All of these reactions, you've been through something terrible. Something terrible happened to you. You went through an experience that, first of all, you survived. So that shows your resilience. You're coming through it. Second of all, you're getting some help coping with all of that.
And I hid behind chips. I mean, but I feel horrible what happened to Maria.
You were protecting yourself.
True. I'm happy they didn't see me because they could have killed me.
But you asked me a minute ago, Rebecca, am I normal? The answer is yes. PTSD is not about you being abnormal in some way or you being crazy in some way. None of that lingo or vocabulary that you might have applied to the situation. As you'll see in a minute, PTSD is a normal reaction to a traumatic event. When something really bad happens, sometimes our bodies get stuck. Our brains get stuck on that. And certain things that are reminiscent of that, right? Like you said, you hid behind the Funyuns. And then when you smelled the Funyuns, it was right there. Those are called triggers. Those are associations, things that bring you right back to that.
So then what do I do now? Eat, you know, the Funyuns?
So our work together with this is going to be to help you find ways to cope with that. You know, there's ways to help you desensitize to the smell of a Funyun. There's ways to introduce different thought patterns. There's ways for us to look at some of those memories and try to make them less big and less scary.
Yeah, because I just feel silly. Like, I almost feel like, do I need to get one of those bands like people put when they're diabetic or epileptic? Like, don't we eat Funyuns? You know what I mean?
No.
And it's like,
No,
I feel silly, like, telling people, like, but sometimes I don't, like, I would have never thought, you know, like, the bag of chips is going to, like, throw me off like that. I thought it would have been, like, a movie. So, like, you know, I haven't seen movies or, like, the shows. You know, I love the cop shows. Like, I haven't watched them, not even the news, because I feel like I don't want to think about it.
It's all scary, right?
But the chips.
You don't want to think about it, you said, too. So, I think it's important we get started. Are you ready?
Okay.
I'm going to start with something pretty big, and then I'm going to walk you through an activity that's going to help you ultimately understand it in your own way.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, because I want to better understand it without using the internet, because I'm going crazy.
The internet is your best friend and your worst enemy, right?
You don't even know.
You can find exactly what you're looking for and things you never knew existed. All right, so I want to show you something first. Rebecca, have you ever seen this book before? I mean, you've taken psychology courses, so you know what this is. You know what the DSM is, right? So this is our reference guide, if you will.
Like the
this
Bible.
is, well, yeah, in a sense. So this is the book that we clinicians turn to get an agreed upon, a common agreed upon description of some troubles that people might be having. And you fit the criteria for post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, like we talked about. So here's the very first thing that I did. I took this and I printed this out for you. So this comes from the DSM. This is exactly what PTSD is. This is exactly what it looks like in general. Not necessarily for you. Not everything's going to apply to everybody all the time, but you meet enough of these, what we call criteria, that this is where you sort of fit. So I'm going to have you start just by looking this over. I don't want you to have to, there's not going to be a test. And I don't want you to feel as though you have to master this. I just kind of want you to look at it a little bit, get a sense of how it's broken down, maybe give it a quick scan. We can talk about any questions that you have.
This is great because you know I'm so visual and I require this paper thing.
So I'm going to give you this to start to scan, but what I like to do, I'm going to give you this as well, because the only way and the best way to read when you want to learn something is to read with a writing instrument in your hand. So as you're reading, this is your copy.
Oh, so I can write on it?
Absolutely.
Questions?
Yeah, questions.
Great.
Circling words
Great.
that you don't understand. Maybe exclamation points for things that you think apply to you. Give it the first scan, and then we're going to go a little bit more in depth, okay?
Okay.
So take a few minutes, and then I'm going to give you the next piece of that, okay? Do you want a clipboard?
I have a lot of stuff here, so I'm just going to grab my stuff from here.
Okay.
And not even use them.
All right. So do you want to read out loud, or do you want to scan and ask questions?
Can I scan and ask some questions?
Absolutely,
because
you can.
I have so many questions about so many different things, you know?
Yep.
So I just want to make sure
Yep.
that I'm not
I'll sit here patiently and wait for you to...
I was going to use my phone for like the dictionary, but you could be my dictionary.
We're going to do this together, you and I.
Okay, so... Wow, this is so much better, honestly, because first of all, look at what I went from.
And it's going to get even better because remember, we're gonna create a cheat sheet, like you called it, that is directly for you.
Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, that's me. I witnessed that. It's true. I'm gonna put a check mark. That's true. That's me, John.
And you understand what a flashback is.
That's what happened to me, right, with the chips.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're right.
Like in my mind, like I felt like I was really like there. It's so weird.
Yeah. And we
like
can
in the movies, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we can, exactly right. We can talk more about that too as we begin to work together on how to sort of build some resiliency for that.
Oh my God, I'm doing this already. That's scary. I'm avoiding the store, now the chips. How am I getting my tuna fish? You know what I mean? Oh God.
Tuna fish and chips.
It's wonderful.
I love
Especially
it.
Funyuns.
Tuna fish and Funyuns. That's kind of a stay by yourself meal, isn't it, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm a tuna fish and Doritos guy, just for the record.
Never tried that. But since we're talking about tuna fish, before I get off this topic, I'm so sorry, but you have to try tuna fish with mustard. It sounds weird, but it's a life changer. I'm telling you. It truly is.
I'm going to mark it down in my notebook here, just to try it. I like to learn new things.
I am having a little bit of trouble sleeping. I feel like I have trouble sleeping when I hear, you know, when you live in an apartment building, so it's like when the neighbors are arguing or something. Oh my God, I wake up sweating. I didn't even know you're sweating in your sleep. Like, I would think I gotta go to sleep with deodorant now. It's like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
And see where it says the part about specify weather. We can talk about that, but that's really, that's more for me. That's more a note for me.
Okay.
I want you to think about the rest of that. Tell me when you've gotten to that part.
I already passed that part.
You did. Okay, so do you have any initial questions, any initial thoughts about this before we move on to the actual activity?
Yeah, like one of the things that I had, well, we talked a little bit about the flashbacks. I think I know what a flashback is, but I'm just like, can they last a very long time? What if it happens to me when I'm driving? Is it something like, because I don't know, but like in my mind, it felt like I was there. Like I'm in this, like just say like I'm here in your office, but I'm telling you, it's like my eyes, when I open them, I was in the store. I can see the lights. I can see everything. I can see even my sweat and my tears dripping.
Those
so
are
weird.
Flashbacks can be powerful. They can be overwhelming, and they can make you feel like you are right back at the scene, in your case, of the robbery at the store. The best part about flashbacks, Rebecca, is that, number one, they're not real. So you're not back there. They're just echoes. You know how you sometimes, when you're in an empty room or you're outside and you clap your hands really quick and you can hear the echo of that? That's what a flashback is. That's your brain trying to become unstuck. It's trying to process that memory. And it's going to be our job to help your brain make the connections it's missing to do so. So are they going to last? Flashbacks themselves, they kind of vary in duration. You've told me that yours are sort of short. And if you're asking me, are they going to go on forever? Am I going to be dealing with this forever? The answer is hopefully not. We'll build some skill for that. Do you have any other questions before we get started?
I just think like the other thing was, it didn't like, it happens for more than a month. You know, it talks about like how long, what if I just stop having them? Does that mean I don't have the PTSD anymore?
Well, that is kind of a tricky question. Some people reach resiliency and they resolve it on their own. After a while, they find ways to cope and they find ways that are healthy for them and they're able to pick up and sort of move on. In your case, because of the severity of what happened, remember it was all over the news and you were directly involved in that. We've talked about a little bit some of the problems that you're having, and it sounds to me like
and does it help with having to go to trial? Right,
and it sounds to me like you need a little more support to get that going on.
Okay.
So going away, well, I'm hoping that as we work together, your symptoms are going to abate. They're going to reduce.
Okay.
Okay? So, ready for the activity?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think I'm ready.
Awesome. So, I have this paper for you.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you this one. And I'm going to keep the same copy. Do you remember being in school and your teacher ever giving you a graphic organizer?
Yes.
So, explain to me what you think a graphic organizer is.
Well, for me, I remember I used to open up my Trapper Keeper, and then it would be right in the front, and it would just help me kind of like pull out, almost like a brainstorm type of deal. Like I would have all these things in one on the board. Sometimes she would put it up, and then we would kind of like set it up in a place.
Right.
Find a place for it.
You're right. So the graphic organizer is very much the same way, and this graphic organizer has two sides. And I'm going to give you this one and we can go over it. Before we start writing on it though, let's go over it together so that you know exactly what to expect, all right? The first section at the top simply says, my diagnosis is. My diagnosis, meaning the one that was given to you. To help you begin to make the connection that yes, this is for you, this is what's troubling you, this is what's keeping you from living your best life, and what we're going to work on together. You with me?
Yeah.
So then after that, the best way for you to begin to understand that is to answer that question, what does that mean in my own words? You read a lot of stuff on the internet.
You've seen that on the floor?
And you looked at that paper that I just gave you, but it's important for you to be able to explain it in your own words, to show not only that you understand it, but that you understand it as it applies to you. Okay? So then as we go through this graphic organizer, you'll see that I have a big box there for either unfamiliar or keywords. Words that you're not sure what they mean or words that you think are so important they leap off the page. That's because these are central words. The unfamiliar words are going to help you get unstuck. They're going to help you understand more. But the keywords are what's going to jump off the page. This is what's most important to you about that, the things that stand out. You with me?
Yeah.
And then section A says, I know this is happening because I. Well, didn't section A in your description talk about the causes of PTSD? So what
I was checking them.
Yeah, so what you went through that brought about these symptoms. Section B, the things that happen to me most frequently. Well, that corresponds with section B on our description, right? That talks about the symptoms and talks about all of the possible ways that PTSD looks in people. So your job is not only going to say, this is why it happened, but here's some of the things that are happening to me.
And the words I circled that like, I can put it in here?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to put it right now, some of them. Just because you know the way
All
I
right.
am.
Well, why don't you then start at the top.
Okay.
Why don't you start with my diagnosis and then write a brief description and then maybe some of those keywords and we'll review from there.
Okay.
Okay.
So my diagnosis is the PTSD.
But what I really want you to do is use the formal name too. It's printed at the top of your paper.
Okay. Yeah, some people don't know what that is.
Right. So, and it's important for you to be able to own that both ways. Right? Do people ever call you Becky? I know you didn't want me to call you Becky.
I don't like to be Becky with the good hair, I'm telling you.
Well, just like Becky is a shortened version of Rebecca.
Yeah, true.
PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, so that when you hear both,
it doesn't feel,
it doesn't feel like something different.
It sounds almost scarier when you say the real word. It's easier when you say like the PTSD. Because some people are clueless.
We're going to tackle this head on, so we're going to use the clinical terms.
So what does it mean to me? So I'm going to write it as I say it.
However you want to express yourself. When someone says, Rebecca, you have post-traumatic stress disorder. You've been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder with PTSD. What does that mean to Rebecca?
That means to me that I went through this life-changing experience in a bad way. Bad way, put quotations. That unfortunately, causes me to relive the moments.
Good job,
Sometimes
Rebecca.
at random points of the day. But that I can't control. It just springs on me, you know.
Good job, Rebecca. Sounds to me like you really, really understand.
That's so much better than when I came in here thinking I was crazy because I'm out of fucking bed and this and this, that and that, and that and that. I mean, it's hard for me to just look at myself more than just, you know, as Rebecca. Now it's like Rebecca with the PTSD. But this helps me understand.
Listen, Becky's got good hair, you've got PTSD. Both of these things can change, right?
True. That's true.
We'll get you with the good PTSD.
Good.
No, but I'm all kidding aside, because PTSD is not a joking matter.
I know.
Let's look at what you wrote. Read to me out loud what you wrote, your description.
So I just said, so far, my name is, not my name. Oh, you know my name. But my diagnosis is PTSD, which stands for post-traumatic stress disorder, right? And then it's like, what does it mean to me in my own words? Tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm going to use this and tell people, you know, like my boyfriend or whatever else.
Sure.
I went through a life-changing experience, like the bad way. And then that unfortunately causes me to relive the moments, sometimes at random points of the day, that just springs on me. And it feels real.
What did you say about control earlier?
I just.
You said that you couldn't control them?
No, I can't control them, and it just came on. Like breathing. You know how it's natural to us. It was just like, it became a natural thing, which is so odd because it's so unnatural to be this way. And it's like, this happened a few, what is it now, like 2 months now that happened?
Yeah.
But this is the first time, like, I've had chips before, and that didn't happen. So I don't know. Like, I even thought, is it the chips? Could it have been something else?
It could be part of it. Could absolutely be the chips. Remember, we'll talk a little bit more about what we call triggers, things that bring you back there. We'll start working on some of that too, but it very well could be. So 3 things I heard you say that I think are important to point out. Number 1, you relive something in a bad way. Not like in a good way. Like when your little brother or sister was born. Were you there for either one of those?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like when you graduated with your bachelor's degree, right? Those are good things you go through. Yeah. This is not a good thing. This is something bad. But it happened to you, right? It happened to you. Something bad happened to you, Rebecca. And so we're going to find ways to cope with that, okay? It doesn't make you a bad person. Just, it's simply, at its simplest, something bad happened to you. Unfortunately, it did. And it's causing you said, to relive it, right?
Oh my goodness, yes.
But relive means live again. But that also means, Rebecca, that you're done living it. You don't ever have to do that again.
I don't want to.
Yeah, so we'll work on that. It's random, right? It feels real and it comes on unexpected. We're going to find...
It's exhausting.
It is, I have to imagine. And the biggest piece of it that you told me is that you can't control it. We're going to find ways to help you control that, because part of recovering from PTSD is learning to take control of the situation.
Do I have to take medicine? I don't want to gain weight. I just lost 50 pounds, and I'm like, oh.
Well, congratulations. See, that's dedication. If you can be dedicated to losing 50 pounds, because goodness knows that losing weight is hard.
Oh my goodness.
Then you can take control of this. Absolutely. All right. So, questions so far?
No. So far, I know what it is.
Okay, good. So, let's go with Section A.
Okay.
I know this is happening. Section A talks about reasons why. So, why don't you go through your list and put down the reason why this happened to you.
I have the post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Good job using the full name. Yes.
Well, because I was a victim.
You were a victim. So which
Or
one
a
of
witness.
these do you think applies?
I think, well, I have number 2, number 1,
So,
I think 1 and 2.
well, let's try to phrase this in a way that we're taking ownership.
Okay.
Okay, so if I said to you, oh my goodness, Rebecca, you've got post-traumatic stress disorder. How did that happen? You might not say, oh, because of number 2.
Oh,
Help me understand what you're saying.
Well, because I witnessed a robbery that led to a murder. I saw the robber shoot Maria from the bodega in the head.
Can you find a non-triggering way? Can you find a direct way to say that might be a little easier to recount to other people?
I witnessed.
Now, I liked what you said about I witnessed a robbery. Tell me more.
I witnessed a robbery that led to something life-changing.
Well, so far so good. Give me a little more. What's something life-changing? It could be.
She died.
So I witnessed a robbery that
led to death.
Perfect.
Okay. And it's so sad for somebody in a community who's been there for so many years.
Absolutely. That led to death. Is it important enough that you included someone else's death? Or do you think that people will be able to understand it clearly wasn't you? Yeah. Okay, so section B, the things that happen to me most frequently. Let's look at that section B again and then choose from there any of these well, you can choose as many as apply to you because remember, post-traumatic stress disorder looks different to everybody.
Well, I think when I think of the flashbacks, how they just occur. So like that.
So remember, see here in number 3 where it says flashbacks may occur on a continuum with the most extreme expression being a complete loss of awareness of present surrounding. Does that sound familiar to you? Well, first let me ask, do you understand what that means?
I know what it means. It's hard because it's like, it just comes.
So what that's saying, to help you understand, what a continuum is a spectrum, it's a range. And down here, something is very small or very minor. So a flashback might be, for a split second, you feel a little bit like, oh, something jarring you. Where on this end, all the way at the other end, and anywhere in between, but at this end, you're right there. It's real. You're seeing, you're smelling, you're tasting, you're hearing. The air is the same, and you completely lose yourself to this memory. And it sounds to me,
That
Rebecca,
happened to me when we went to Meredith.
It sounds to me that you were all the way over here. You described that as well when you said your sister opened the bag of chips and all of a sudden you were back in the bodega, right?
You know something, what else I'm thinking too? Like, remember I was telling you about my dreams? You know how like I have a dream and I wake up and I see it's 8 hours later, like am I dreaming this for 8 hours? Because it feels so real, like I'm sweating. It's so real, these dreams, that it feels like I just took a time machine back.
That's the power of a flashback.
But it took me a time to be like I have to look at the calendar. I have to look at my partner. I have to look where I am. Like, where am I? Am I home? Where am I?
Now, these flashbacks can be a little tricky because the message, what do you think your flashback is saying to you? What message are you getting from your flashback?
I'm scared.
You're scared. What your body is really saying to you, what your mind is really saying to you, is help me get past this. I'm stuck. And in playing that moment over and over, you mentioned Groundhog Day to me a while ago. Remember, he lives the same day over and over and over again until what happened?
Until he saw, the shadow.
Yeah, until he found a way out of his situation, right? So that's what your mind is saying. Help me get past this. I can't digest this meal that you've given me. I don't know what to do with it. So it keeps showing it to you over and over again, trying to process it. And unfortunately, that's where we get stuck. So our work is going to be helping you get unstuck, helping your brain say it's okay to move on, helping you learn to relax, helping you cope with the things, the sights, the sounds, the feelings.
I'm going to put that down here.
Yeah?
I feel stuck.
You feel stuck.
In these flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
In the bad dreams. It's like those are the things that stick. Like, would you think, like, the sweating and...
Well, were you sweating in that moment? Were you...
I felt like my adrenaline was going so fast. I needed to go. Like, if I was to stay, I felt like I was in imminent risk of, I don't know.
And so if your body's showing you, if your mind is showing you that same thing, that mind-body connection is so strong, your body is convinced that you're back there. So it's doing all the same things. So you're sweating, you're wanting to run away, you're scared, you're locked up. All of these things are happening to you.
That's true. My goodness.
Any other important... Oh, I see you writing some words in your box there.
Yeah, I wrote the flashbacks because I feel like that stands out because that's what's happening to me, but I feel like I'm avoiding stuff. Like, I won't even go around the... And it's not even about going in the store. That's one thing. I feel like that's normal for where I am right now, and I want to go in that store, but, like, I can't even go into the supermarket. I can't even walk around the corner. Like, honestly, I just... Sometimes, even if I hear, like, like the crinkly sound, or, bitch, get down. I mean, you hear bitch in every word, sometimes music, and it just brings me to a place. But I haven't had those flashbacks, like, with every single thing. It just brings me to a moment that I'm like, oh. Like what you said, like, with the graduation, even though it's a good moment, like, you thought of that song, like, oh, I remember I was there. But certain things just bring me back to that moment.
It's the opposite of that, right? We can do this. You're doing amazing work. I know this is a little bit of a strange activity, but I
it's helping me because of the way that I am, and you know me so well. Like, I'm really trying to figure this out to help even support myself. But if I don't understand, I don't understand how I'm gonna cope.
Yeah, and I'm thinking this is going to be beneficial to you. I know how analytical you are, and I know that you love to understand this. So I'm glad this is working for you. My years in education did not go to waste. Anything else in your box here, the keyword or the unfamiliar word box that you want to talk about before we move on?
No, I think the avoidance is a big sleep too sometimes.
Okay. So can we move on to the next part?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're ready.
So you're feeling good? Are you feeling grounded?
Yeah.
Are you feeling relaxed?
Yeah.
You're feeling calm?
Yeah.
Good. Let's move on to this next part. Some things I do when I practice avoidance. You've said to me repeatedly that you avoid things. You're avoiding the bodega. You're avoiding all of these sights and sounds. A lot of how people cope, and so much so that it got included in the description of post-traumatic stress disorder, is avoid, because they say to themselves, well, if I just don't go into that bodega, I won't think about it, in your case. Or if I just don't smell those chips, or if I just don't drive down that street, or, if I don't acknowledge it, it can't hurt me.
That's why it's so true, because it just feels so real in the moment that I'm like, wait a minute, I don't want to relive that, because it's scary when it just comes up. So why do I want to bring it on when I know? You know what I mean?
But it's already in there, isn't it?
Yeah.
And as much as we don't want to remind ourselves of the situation, believe it or not, looking back at it is going to help you. So let's do this last session, this last section. I know that we are coming up on our time. However, I am really curious to see where this is going to go. So I'm hoping you can come back and see me. If you can't come later today because I have a 7 o'clock, then I can see you tomorrow.
I love this because I feel like that I'm already able to point out some things.
Yeah.
That I'm working with, and then some things I need to work on. Like, I understand now why I am the way that I am right now.
So some of it is starting to stick. That's good. Well, let's really quickly. You can tell me a couple of things you do to avoid, and then we'll do a kind of a summation activity. I don't want to open up the post-traumatic stress disorder sort of discussion and then just leave you hanging. We'll do a couple of grounding exercises, and then we'll finish this tomorrow.
Okay.
Can you come tomorrow for your next session?
Yeah, let me check my calendar real quick.
All right.
But I think it shouldn't be a problem because I think I'm good. With
Okay,
myself.
so let me just really quickly write you down. Can we say 11?
11 works for me.
11 o'clock. There you are, you're in. All right, we're right back to it. I know we took kind of a roundabout. You know what we were doing? Were we avoiding that? No?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit. All right, let's get back to it.
So I know, like, I take the long walk home, and if I have to pass the store, I don't even look. I stay across the street, and I keep my head like this. So I just look, even if there's nothing on the floor. I hope that there's something on the floor so people don't think I'm crazy. I don't even look. I don't go in the store, even though they have my favorite empanadillas that they sell there, and they're open so late. Sometimes they're like, I want to eat that. I won't go in there.
Rebecca, I want to get you those empanadillas.
I need them because
I'm not going to buy them. You are. We're going to get this done. Listen, let's put this aside for tomorrow, but you and I need to do a couple of quick grounding exercises to make sure, okay? And we've talked a lot about your stressors, and we've talked about the store, and we've talked about a little bit what happened. We've brought it up. So let's do a grounding exercise, okay? So we're going to do a quick 3, 2, 1. Sound good to you?
And that's something I could do at home too, right?
It absolutely is. So what I want you to do, nice and relaxed.
Okay.
Okay, you're going to look around. I want you to tell me 3 things that you see right here, right now, in this space and time. 3.
You.
That's 1.
The dog.
The dog.
And the lamp.
And the lamp. Perfect. Now listen closely and tell me 2 things that you can hear right here in this space right now.
The clock.
The clock.
And I can hear, you know that machine that so nobody can hear us out there?
Machine?
That's what that's called?
That's called the white noise machine.
Is that why it's in a white box?
Could be.
Okay.
Okay, and then I want you to use your nose, and I want you to tell me 1 thing you can smell.
I can smell the downy on my clothing.
The downy on your clothing is perfect. So repeat after me. I'm safe.
I'm safe.
I'm calm.
I'm calm.
I'm happy.
I'm happy.
Okay. So the happy part, I saw a smile on your face, so I gave you that word. I'm hoping that that's the right word for you. We're going to get you through this. We'll finish your activity tomorrow, and hopefully tomorrow you'll not only be able to tell me, but you'll be able to explain to anyone who asks. So that when you said, oh, I hope people don't think I'm this, and I hope that people don't think I'm strange when this happens, or even if I'm walking and not looking, like you just told me, you'll be able to explain to them in a way that you understand. Because once you understand something, you really become the best teacher. Don't you agree?
I agree with you 100%.
Awesome. So I'll see you tomorrow at 11?
At 11.
Okay.
I thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Can I leave all this stuff?
You can.
I
You
like it.
can.
I just wanna
I'll
take my
recycle
little-
it for you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.